everybody, and welcome to Juicy Justice. If you are new to following me, Juicy Justice is a legal series where I discuss several celebrity gossip and news as it relates to the law. I was doing it for a little bit, then I had to stop because the world caught on fire. The revolution jumped off and I jumped into that. But I'm back now and I found some way to manage this in, and I will do it as often as I can for you guys. The first thing that I'm talking about today is the situation that happened with Megan Stallion and Tory Lanez. Megan Stallion is a woman rapper who I've been a big fan of for a long time, and this is just an unfortunate situation to hear happen to her. Tory Lanez is a singer, rapper. He does a little bit of both. I'm not sure how he classifies himself. But essentially, you see online that they're friends, they hang out, whatever. And it looks like, he had a pool party. They were there, her and her friend. To my understanding, her friend was in the car as well when this happened. Megan tries to get out the car, and Tory shot her multiple times. Now, this is just what the internet is saying. I don't believe that these facts have been confirmed by him or her. But when I first read it, Tory was only charged, this before she said anything, just when we heard she got shot and nothing else had been said. Tory Lanez was charged with having a firearm. Now, possession of a firearm is typically a misdemeanor unless you're a felon, a convicted felon. Then you're a felon in possession of a firearm and you're charged with a felony. Now, what people don't understand typically is that if you have a gun, you need a permit and you need a concealed carry license. So he was charged with having the gun. And when I first saw it, I thought, well, Tory probably didn't do this because he was only charged with having a gun. He wasn't charged with shooting anyone. And then when I thought about it more, and the impact that we have as for minority women, for black women especially, and for immigrant women, people who have come here to live from other countries, cooperating with the police is, it's not a thing. It's not something that's done. So what may have happened is that initially when police showed up, Megan didn't give a statement saying that it was Tory, for multiple reasons. A lot of times victims are afraid of what happens to the person who assaulted them when you get law enforcement involved. If you're an immigrant, you're concerned about immigration. If you live here, if you're a U.S. resident, then you're concerned about the police harming that person. So when you think about domestic violence in the sense of minority communities, you have to think in a wide spectrum of what happened. It doesn't mean that, if someone's not charged with it, it doesn't mean they didn't do it. It means that the victim may not have just given a statement, right? And so we're still putting together what happened. Hope that Megan has a speedy recovery. She's been through a lot, lost her mom and her grandma back to back, and then this. So really hoping that she has a speedy recovery and that she handles this however she thinks is best, right? But if it was Tory that shot her, that's not going to be good for him. I can see that not being good for him, hopefully for multiple reasons. You shouldn't be able to shoot women and still have a career. But, we see how these things tend to turn out. The other thing that I got a lot of questions about was Nick Cannon and freedom of speech, about what he said, and can Wild 'N Out fire him for, what about his freedom of speech and all this kind of stuff. And wildly enough, regardless of how you define it, if they classified it as hate speech, wildly enough, that's still not enough. You have a constitutional right to free speech. However, contracts over everything, right? So when he signed up with this, he probably signed a contract. And what do most contracts say in them that deal with celebrities? Has something similar or exactly a morality clause. And what that is if you do something that is damaging to the network, if you say something that's damaging to the network, if you do something that's embarrassing, if you do something that, puts the network in a bad light and causes them money, you give them the right to terminate you. And so in his situation, I doubt we even get to freedom of speech, because it's very likely that they had in that contract that if you do any of these things, then we can fire you. And sometimes they put the terms of the termination in there. But that's probably why he was like, oh, I'm gonna sue you guys. You know, I have my right to free speech, to all this kind of stuff, because he contracted that away, as most people do. So I'm not saying it's the fault on him, but that's just how contracts work. You can put anything in a contract that's not illegal, and most large companies are gonna say, if you start costing us money, you gotta go. The other thing that Nick messed up, he doesn't own his trademark, and I'm really trying to help him. I really want to understand. Why he doesn't own the trademark to Wildin' Out. I would assume either they got to it first, or he gave it up in exchange for something else. But either way, the way that he built that brand, people correlate Wildin' Out with Nick Cannon. And what he did was give that away. I'm really interested in a lady rapper named Lady London. One of her bars is that she says, if I don't own my masters, then my masters own me. Right? So that's unfortunately what happened here. It doesn't seem like, and the sad part about that is he can't just up and, you know, people were talking about him going to Revolt TV with Diddy. He can't just up and go to Revolt TV with Wildin' Out. And of course he can build a whole new brand, right? Pick a whole new name. But they can keep doing Wildin' Out. They can keep making money off of what he built without having him giving him any. Unless his contract says otherwise, right? We hope that he had a contract that he would still get something out of Wildin' Out. But ultimately, he doesn't own a trademark. And that's no good. Last thing that I wanted to talk to y'all about. When I saw this, I kind of thought people were joking. I can't tell if they were or not, but it's actually a really good legal question. Nicki Minaj is pregnant. Congratulations to her, depending on how you look at it. Her husband is I guess, you know, a new life is always congratulatory. Her husband is a convicted sex offender. So the question that I saw floating around was, can he even be around his own kids? And that's a legitimate question. A lot of times when you are a convicted sex offender, there is something in your sentencing that says that you cannot live where minors live. You can't live in the same home as minor children, sometimes even if they're your own children. And that brings in constitutional issues about the right to parent. But what they say, how the court has ruled oftentimes, is that if you have committed a sexual offense against a minor, then the court has the right to protect that minor, right? And protect other minors from you. Especially if you have a history of it, right? So it's always going to depend on the facts of the case. Was it one person or 10? Was it a family member or a stranger? Was it a minority or an adult? A minor or an adult? So it's really going to depend on the facts of his case, the very specific facts of his case, and what they have already worked out. We don't know that, you know, they were planning for a child and they handled this before she even got pregnant. It might be something that they worked out. But it really depends on what his sentencing was. And what they would say is that they wouldn't say you can't be around your kids at all, but that you can't be around kids without supervision. So, you know, whether or not that supervision could be Nicki Minaj is going to be questionable because she's a celebrity, right? She travels all the time. She can't keep an eye on him 24/7, right? Him and the child 24/7. So it's a legitimate question. The answer is a very legal question. It depends. And so, you know, we'll see. But that's what I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for still checking in on me, still, you know, rocking with me, checking out Juicy Justice. If you have any questions that you want answered about this video and the things that I talked about, leave a comment and I'll get back to you. If you have any topics that you want to talk about, send me a DM and I'll try to get those out, you know, on the next episode. All right. Oh, I'm wearing this shirt. This is Josephine Baker, a Black woman icon. If you don't know who she is, I suggest you do some research. You can get one of these shirts if you go to @TheCamKWay. Camille Key is a stylist in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you know, she realized that a lot of t-shirts depicted women like Marilyn Monroe, not a lot of shirts for Black women icons. And so she started making t-shirts that had Black women icons on it. Right now, this is the first t-shirt. If there are Black women icons that you would like to see on a t-shirt, feel free to send her a message. Again, that's the Cam K Way. And reach out to her if you'd like to purchase one of these. Again, it says Josephine Baker on it. If you're not aware of who she is, do yourself a favor and do some research to find that out. All right. Again, my name is Darlene Harris, and thank y'all for rocking with me.